Okay. And then Shelley is feeling she's got a little cough. So she asked as the co-chair if I would kind of lead the meeting today. So hopefully I will do it justice. And if I miss anything, feel free to interject. But I think we have enough people here to get started, and it's 7:01. So I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order, the January 3rd, 2024 Citizens Advisory Committee. And can we do roll call, please?
Yes. All right. Committee member Knight.
Present.
Committee member Harrington.
Present.
Committee member Reynolds.
Here.
Committee member Terrell.
Present.
Committee member Castillo. Oh, and there, can I admit some more people? Committee member Stephenson.
Shelby is excused tonight.
All right. Committee member Rizzo.
Here.
Committee member Barney.
Power off.
Here.
Committee member Abling.
Here.
Committee member Minkoff.
Here.
And committee member Kester.
Here.
All righty. Thank you all.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 2. Any public comment on non-agenda items?
Hi, this is Paul Wilcox.
Perfect. Hand you the floor.
Okay. I think you guys has asked me to get back to you on my council vacancy presentation with council. Not a lot to report. Kind of fell on deaf ears as far as I could tell. So they're pretty much in favor of the status quo. So that's kind of where it was left. So just thought I'd let you all know. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. I don't see anybody else for any public comment on non-agenda items. So I guess we'll move to agenda item number 3, discussion on the committee role. So last time we had City Manager Ray Young come and present us with a bunch of documents looking at kind of the role of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and we had agreed to study those and come back and have a discussion together. So just want to open that up for discussion and see if you guys had time to review those documents and any thoughts on them.
This is Adrian. I can kick it off. I did review quite a lot of it. As Ray Young indicated, there is a lot. I'm pretty sure I didn't get through all of it. But the sort of driving comment I think he had behind his presentation is one that I totally agree with, that the statute, certainly at the state level, gives us a lot of rope. So my personal opinion is that as a committee, probably our focus first and foremost is should be looking at community, what we can do as a committee, either through direct action or through direction to staff, in trying to improve community input. There was a lot of I know staff does a lot of good work in getting things out on social media and communicating things outbound. I know there's been a lot of comments in this forum and in others about trying to modify, improve participation in community engagement inbound. So I think one of the things that we can definitely look at in more depth is how that is done and what we can do as a committee and what sort of direction we can possibly give staff without completely overwhelming their limited resources. So that's it for me for now, at least.
Thank you.
This is Kevin. One of the issues in the Citizens Advisory outline role of the CAC, it says that let me see, where did I read this? Excuse me one moment. Yes, point 3, the CAC may periodically review and advise the Planning Commission and City Council on the Citizen Involvement Program. I'm not clear on if that is a specific program that is documented, or if that just means, generally speaking, citizen involvement.
I guess my understanding of that, Kevin, and Ray, last time Ray went into kind of a fair amount of depth on this, because that citizen involvement program is described in a fair amount of depth in state statute. And there is a lot there. There's a lot that we could do. There's also a lot that most municipalities don't do. So there is certainly, at least in my understanding on reading the statute, and from what I got out of Ray's presentation, is that I mean, that sort of leads down a rabbit hole, using his words, of ultimately we can do almost whatever we want.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I don't know if anybody else got a different interpretation of that.
No, I think that was fairly accurate, Adrian. Forgive me, I'll talk as long as I can here, and then I may have to quit. I think that one of the things that wasn't really made clear was CAC's relationship to the Planning Commission and to City Council. And I think that it is safe to say it's not clear on any of our parts, nor is it clear on any of their parts, right? I don't know that Planning Commission has a clear understanding of our relationship as any kind of advisement committee to them. And I think there's some confusion at the City Council level as to our role as a Citizens Advisory Committee to them. So I think that we definitely need some clarity in that role, those roles, and it needs to go both ways, right? We need to have the same understanding as both of those bodies, those government bodies, right?
Agreed. Adrian, were you going to say something?
Yeah, and this will be real quick because I know I'm taking up a lot of microphone time here. But one of the things that that after our meeting and shortly after that going to the Planning Commission's latest meeting, I mean, the Planning Commission is embarking on a rather extensive effort themselves on looking at a lot of the development code and possibly looking at things that might change the fundamental intent or some fundamental restrictions, adding or removing or whatever. There's going to be an extended effort in the Planning Commission on looking at what a lot of those things are in the development code. And after Ray's presentation and after discussions last time, I think that's something that that we could definitely stand to as a citizens advisory committee. Exactly what you were just talking about, Twyla, is having some of that two-way communication on that kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that I thought was particularly interesting from the readings that that Ray provided was the concept of like a visual framework of kind of that structure that I think we're talking about, and just wondering if it might be helpful to put together a structure and then socialize that with the different groups to see kind of what the relationships might look like and what some of those core functions might be. Not sure what you guys feel about that, or that might be a starting place. Yeah, Will. Oh, he went away.
Wrong one. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I think for me, a really good background on this was the U of O study. And I think that was the one you just pulled up there and showed. And it was really interesting to see how we kind of have a really weird hybrid of what was originally intended back in the 70s. And I think the Planning Commission is basically the citizen involvement thing, and for planning, which is like the worst, you know, according to that paper, was like the worst way you can have it. So I think that there's, at the same time though, I don't necessarily want to be buried in planning stuff at these meetings. And so I think that we might really be looking at, if we decide as a community to go down that path and follow something more similar or closer to what some of the other municipalities have done or have been intended, we might be looking at something completely different. And I think that one that you just showed, it shows community involvement, which all they're doing is they're just out to go and get people involved. They don't care about what it is. They're just trying to get people involved. And that's right next to the city council. And then next to that are like parks, historic landmarks, you know, all those sorts of things that are then, you know, kind of like they had a community or neighborhood, and that didn't really work for us. I guess from what I read, the 96 letter or memo that Chris Ann had sent out. So yes, I guess to answer that question, it would be really good maybe for us to kind of organize and show what we currently are, show what maybe a framework might be that we want to shoot for, and then how do we reorganize these groups to make it so it's more like what we're intending.
Yeah, Shelley.
One thing that I might find helpful is to take the state statute as a group and kind of go through it and assign as we see the roles as they're intended and set out by the state. See if what committees fill those roles, what roles aren't being filled at all, and that we might need to really pick up some slack on too.
Yeah, the statute, the Oregon statute is very short. 2025, well, let's see, what did you, oh, that's something else. Yeah, it's ORS, oh, doggone it, I keep hitting my camera, sorry about that. ORS 197.160 is State Citizen Involvement Advisory Committee. And there's only 4 short paragraphs. So there's really not much to it and not much guidance. But I think it would be good, unless Ray provided some other references to other statutes, which I didn't hear about or didn't receive in an email. I couldn't attend the December 6th meeting. So if that is the case, then I'd like to know what those other references are. But I just looked up the Oregon statute and there isn't a whole lot of information there.
Thank you. And then Woodrow, I think I saw your hand.
Hi, yeah, I wasn't able to make last month's meeting either. And I already done some research on the Oregon planning and the numerous goals that they have. And have been exchanging some emails with Chris Ann about what our homework would look like if we had to, you know, from an English major perspective, you know, what does the works cited look like? And so she and I went back and forth and identified all the links that Ray had referenced, the attachments that she'd put in the emails to the group. And the two things that there was several things that I'd added to that index. But one is the citizen involvement goal for the Oregon State planning. And so that is to me, that outlined very clear what we're supposed to be doing. And, you know, 6 bullet points. And there's also additional references. You know, there's the Oregon Citizen Involvement Advisory Committee, what their goals are, the full text of the goals that they have. And then there's also a book that I think the Department of DLCD, I can't remember what that's called. But they create a book putting the people in planning. And so I've got a phone call in to see if I can get a copy of that.
Great, thank you. So what do you guys are feeling are next steps or how we should move this forward?
Well, I'll send the most up-to-date index, I guess, of what Chris Ann and I were going back and forth on. Again, I expect it's a draft. You know, there's a lot of stuff on there that I wanted to keep track of, right? So there may be things on this that are superfluous. But again, if we start wide, we can narrow things down. If there's something that's on the list that you guys, you know, want to have, then let's add it and then have that conversation about, you know, prioritization or what things that we shouldn't have. Well, I'll send it out right now.
Then Adrian?
Yeah. So, one of the things and Will sort of reference this is that in some ways, the various Troutdale committees that many of us are on, sort of fill parts and pieces of the role. Now, I mean, a lot of the language that I've seen, both in the U of O paper and in some of the other readings, focus around land use planning, which granted is a lot of what cities do. But the other half of that is strictly around just community involvement and communications. So, and we do have a number of committees that are focused on land use planning. I mean, Planning Commission in particular, because they tend to be the decision-making body for a lot of it. But others have input by process as well. I mean, you've got historic landmarks that gets brought in periodically for land use stuff. TCAB gets brought in for things in town center. I don't think we necessarily need to take on more of that. Maybe there's some gaps that we as a group can fill that aren't necessarily picked up by other groups, and maybe to alleviate some pressure on Planning Commission if they happen to be overloaded. I don't think they really are under most circumstances. But we also know, and many of us have examples in recent memory where we feel like things fell through the cracks and things that we weren't necessarily intended got variances approved anyway. So maybe there's some gaps that could be filled there. But my personal feeling as far as low-hanging fruit to move forward is kind of what I alluded to at the beginning, is simply focusing on communication. Because I think if we focus on that, on community communication and community involvement, that in and of itself may direct or may give us a path forward of where we go next.
Thank you. And then Diane, I saw you came off on camera for a minute, so I wasn't sure if you had a comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, I'm just listening. I like what Shelley had to say, and Will. I understand that our focus is on, that we have communication and involvement, but I like what they were saying in trying to figure out our roles and our parameters, and I think understanding those things, then we can more effectively communicate and get involved. So that's all I have for now. A lot of good conversation. I don't know if Dakota is able to kind of regurgitate some of the points we're making. I'm not kind of sure how to go forward and then in a direct action from here. So just listening a lot. Thank you.
I am taking notes just so everybody's aware. So
Yeah.
Well, I like the idea of gathering information. I have some things I've pulled up. I see, again, the Oregon's Citizen Involvement Advisory Committee has a 2023 to 2025 work plan that can be used maybe as a model for what we might put together for the city. And again, the Oregon statute and what Terrell was talking about, he had some other references. If we need to go back to Ray and say, what other guidance were you speaking about in terms of the Oregon statutes, other Oregon statutes that may involve Citizen Advisory Committee? Let's pull that all together, and then we can all have a chance to review all of that, and then our next meetings, it won't be over one, but over several meetings, can use it to craft our own definition for the CAC.
Perfect. That's great. And then Jenny, I think I saw you, and then Will, I think I have you next.
Yeah, my question was, do we have like an ongoing shared document where people are putting things, like what is the process for us to move forward in terms of just getting our ideas all down on one place? Is there like something already started, or how do we work together virtually? That would be my question.
I think that's a great question. Hey, Will. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, I guess maybe that kind of also led into my question too, is I guess maybe to start off, has everyone had the chance to watch last month's meeting? Were they aware that there was at least 2 or 3 different emails with different information sent out? I had to go back and find them. I think there was at least 2, maybe 3. So I guess, yeah, to that last point, maybe there would be a space to be able to have these like kind of documents so that anyone else that hasn't seen them can review them and go forward. I know we've got a bunch of different ideas on how we want to eat that elephant, but if we at least know we're all on the same page and have that basic understanding, we can kind of move forward from there. And I guess stepping away from that and on to the next thing, or my next topic, as far as where my brain's at and seeing this is, I guess maybe a basic like kind of discussion of in like a roundtable, like how are we feeling? Do we want to try to make this like extra committee that's citizen involvement only, and then somehow morph the CAC to be another part of it? Or do we want to focus the CCI that's like on that statute to be just land use? Or do we feel that planning in that forum is enough of an opportunity for people to come in? I guess kind of looking at what the idea that they're putting out in that those models, looking where we're at and seeing if it makes sense. If we want to change it to go and match what they have, we're fine with what we have and say, nope, we don't want to change anything. Or if maybe there is some sort of massaging around of, you know, like when we originally started, firming up what we want and what we're trying to do, which was when we take stuff to council, we want them to listen, you know, and then figuring out how we can strengthen that. But then also with this new information in the U of O papers and the Westland and Lake Oswego, you know, sort of options or ideas, you know, is that something we want to do? Do we want to create a land use only body that's for citizen involvement? Or are we kind of okay with a mishmash and we want to tighten up a few things that we've seen over time that we want to see fixed? So sorry for rambling there.
Not a ramble at all, but I think there was a really good point in that that level set with all the information is maybe a great starting place. And Dakota, I don't know, do we have a shared area where we can house all the documents so we can ensure that we're all like have the same information we're looking at?
As of right now, I don't believe so. So I wrote that as a note down here and put a star next to it. I'm going to look into that because I know that's something that I could put together. I need to double check and see, like, 'cause obviously, as we know, when we send out large emails, it's all BCC. So I need to double check on what the regulations are with that. If we can have one large kind of like a Google Doc or something like that, so people can kind of collab in one area. So I put a note down there with a star next to it. So that's something I need to ask about and get more information for you all. Because I think that's a great point, especially if everybody's going to be doing some research, which is fantastic to kind of put all those into one area so we're not overlapping information as well. So you're not doing one for excuse me, you're not doing a bunch of work for, you know, if someone else has already done it. So yeah, I'll look into that and let everybody know. If not, then I know everybody can send me stuff and I'll collaborate and then send out, but it'd be easier if we could just do a large Google Doc for everybody to go ahead and get into. So I'll look into that.
It might be something we could even post on the website, right? In under the Citizens Advisory, we could post it. I mean, all of our comments and thoughts and stuff are public anyway. So if it's there, then we all know where to go to get it. Back to the Westland and Lake Oswego, I wouldn't mind seeing a couple more cities that are relatively the same size as Troutdale here in Oregon. I'd like to see what they're doing. I'm specifically thinking, you know, anywhere from, you know, Bend to Eastern Oregon, just to kind of get an idea of what some of the smaller areas are how they're handling the Citizens Involvement Committee information.
Great idea. All right, any other discussion on this? Do we feel like the action items should be before our next meeting, that we kind of all ensure that we've got all those documents that we'll refer to? Because when you said that, I was like, oh no, I think I missed a couple. Yes, Adrian.
One other, I guess, potential action item, and this kind of goes back to something that Will said, is part of what we're talking about here is potentially inter-committee work and coordination, and there may be some effort to be done there. I know several of us are already on those other committees. I know we have planning commission representation here. We've got obviously TCAP representation, historic landmarks, PSAC. A lot of us are on more than one committee. So, but in some sort of sense, maybe to get the various committees talking to each other as far as this is kind of what we're thinking. What does Planning Commission think about their role in citizen involvement? What does where in the whole grand scheme of things does a group like TCAB sit, or PSAC, or various other things when it comes to citizen involvement? Because in every single committee meeting, there's an agenda item that says citizens come in and talk. So what makes us different? And I think that's first and foremost, that's probably a question that we need to answer. Are we different?
Not seeing, I thought I heard somebody start talking, but I may have just been hearing someone. So any other discussion on this? Any other comments? Do we feel okay reviewing the documents and coming back next time for more discussion on this?
And there's a lot. I mean, just goal number 1 has like 300 to 400 pages. Okay. So goal number 2 is slightly shorter, but again, there's a very high level of detail. So it might be multiple meetings. Multiple meetings might be need to.
And this is what document is this specifically?
I'm sending you the links. This is if there was a chat here, maybe I just don't know how to use it. I'd send you the link right now. It's State of Oregon, Oregon Planning, Department of Land Conservation and Development, and then the subsection at Oregon Planning. And then they have numerous goals for the citizen improvement or citizen involvement plan. And goal 1 is, getting citizens involved. So.
I don't know if I'll make all those 200 pages, but maybe we'll be able to sift through and kind of get some of the high level ideas.
Right. Yeah, and I tried printing it out too, and it's a funky little formatted funny, and so it killed a ream of paper really quick. So Chris Ann was right, and we definitely need to use the link. Right, we shouldn't be printing some of the stuff out. It's just it's a lot, and then also because this is our source material, we don't want to have printed documents that might become outdated. So,
Will?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a suggestion that for me, I really felt that the U of O paper, even though it's 30 years old, it still gave a great perspective, very easy to understand. They even say suggestions in there.
rose up, Will.
Oh, Will.
Or temporary.
Add that to the bottom of the index.
Are there?
Add that.
We lost you for a bit, Will.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm doing my best here. Just literally moved to sit right next to the modem so that I can get a stronger signal. I don't know what's going on.
I wondered what happened with relocation. I can't hear you.
No? Still there?
Okay, now
Yep.
we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I'll be quick. I was going to say, just if anything, just try to read the U of O paper and then maybe the 96 one from the memo from 1996 in Troutdale. And then think about how we're organized compared to what the examples are, and then come back.
I think we got the gist. So it sounds like Will was recommending the U of O paper, the 96 one. And then I think I am, because Kevin, you were saying the Oregon statute is pretty direct and concise with some guiding language also.
It is, and I'm also seeing that goal 1, citizen involvement, of what you, what Terrell talked about. I only see it 4 pages of goal 1. I don't see a 300. But in any case, regardless, what I'm thinking that if Dakota can provide a link to which we can upload things that we find. So I found a number of documents, Terrell's got a number of documents, etc. Whatever we all find, if we can upload it to a, some secure website somewhere, I mean, it doesn't have to be so secure because these are public documents, but a Google Docs page, etc. That would be really helpful, because I think we're all kind of finding different things, and we don't all have to write down each other's list of documents. Let's just upload what we find, and then we can kind of sort through it.
That sounds like a good plan. So if you find that out, Dakota, that would be awesome. And then in the interim, we'll do our best to use those kind of source documents we were provided to prepare for next meeting.
Can someone send me the Oregon thing? Because I don't have that on my list.
I'll make sure you get that.
Thanks, sir.
Great. So
Are you
next-
talking sorry, Woodrow, are you talking about the U of O document?
The one that Will was referencing.
Okay.
Yeah, send it to everyone.
I'll send it out to everybody again to make sure everybody has that one, because that's a really great document.
Thank you.
All right. So it looks like we can move on to staff communications.
Alrighty. Don't have a whole lot. I want to first off say thank you everyone for being flexible given the circumstances today. So I know everybody was planning on coming for the most part in person. So I'm glad that we were able to pivot and feeling too well the last week or so. And then also we don't have a whole lot of applications in right now. We have some that are pending that may be coming in the near future. But as of right now, we're not currently working on any land use case files, which is typical for this time of year. It always kind of slows down right around the holidays and picks right back up. So we're expecting some to be coming in this week and next week. The big news that we do have with planning is that we did send out an offer and it was received for a new community development director. So they will be starting this month on the 22nd. So I will see about having them come and introduce themselves to you all at our next meeting. They're coming from Sherwood. So they were the planning manager out in Sherwood, and now they're coming to be our community development director. They have some experience in smaller cities as well. I know, actually, I've been on a meeting with them for MTAC, where Sherwood just did a large urban growth boundary expansion that they kind of headed that project. So they have a lot of experience in the field working in larger cities and smaller jurisdictions as well. So it seems like it was our one of our top picks that they accepted. So we're really looking forward to having them come in and kind of hit the ground running for us. So when they come in, I'll bring them to our next meeting and introduce themselves. That way they get their feet wet a little bit before coming to meet everybody. And then the other note I have is I have not heard from Chris Damgan about a potential visit yet, which is understandable given the holidays and that he just finished up his paternity leave. So I'm sure I'll hear from him sometime this month, in which case I'll hear what he has to say, but I'm not thinking that we'll be meeting with him in February, because I'm sure he has a lot of work to catch up on, and then to have us meet, or like I said, either he'll come meet with us or potential of doing a field trip. But I'll keep everybody up to date when I get more information on that. I just haven't heard anything since our last meeting. So, and that's it for me.
Thank you. Any questions?
Dakota, is there a place we can go to see any pending decisions for, what was it, 2023? Or I know that we had some of the older ones that were on the city, excuse me, webpage that had some of the proposals or new initiatives.
There isn't a place that we noticed that actually Chris Ann pointed that out to us, that page has not been updated in quite some time. We're waiting for the new director to see if that's something we want to continue updating, or how we want to go about using that page. But if you do have a question like that, that's a great question. You could send a ComDev email and I'm happy to send you any information that you're looking for. But as of right now, there isn't a single page for that. On that note, and on the note of citizen advisory committee, we noticed that there has been, as far as planning goes, a lack of effort with, or not, I shouldn't say a lack of effort, but a bit of a shortcoming in the sense of how projects are getting noticed. So it's a requirement from for planning that we're required to send out notices if it's a type 2 up to 200 feet of any property if there's a development going on, or if it's a type 3 or type 3, then it's 500, and that's it. Other jurisdictions that I've worked for before, we always post them online. So we made that decision. We went ahead where we're now posting all notice of applications online when they're ready to go out. So when it gets sent out to the neighbors, it'll also be posted online under the news section of the Troutdale webpage. So they'll be posted on there. That'll be for whether it's a public meeting, whether it's just a type 2 for public comment. So the citizens can be more involved and have a chance to comment or just be informed of new developments going on in the city. So that's something that myself and the assistant planner both noticed that we wanted to make a change right away. So we went ahead and did that. So moving forward, those will all be, any new projects will be posted online.
Well done.
Can you, I'm not familiar with the difference between type 2 and type 3. Is that easily explained, or?
Yeah, type 2s are a director's decision. So those are in a sense done in-house rather than going to planning commission as the decision-making body. So type 3s go to planning commission, type 4s typically go to city council, depending on the type of project. Some projects that are type 3s could also go to city council, but type 3s are public meetings. Type 2s do not require a public meeting. And then type 1s are less than type 2. So they don't also require a public meeting. There's more that can go into depth, but that's the basis of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a mechanism that a proposal can transfer between the different types?
There is. So when a project is submitted, typically we hope that the applicant has held a pre-application meeting so we can go over all this information with them. So they submit the proper information right then and there when they submit their application. That's not always the case. So when they submit, we review the information for completeness. And during that review process, if it's something that we notice that does require, say, for example, say it's a variance where they're applying for a variance and they think it's under the threshold, so it needs to be so they're requesting a type 2. We notice that it's actually over the threshold, it needs to be a type 3. We will up it to a type 3 based on the requirements within the code. And that's done during the completeness. It doesn't happen too often because again, we typically try to give them all the information ahead of time so they're aware of what they need to apply for. So they're not surprised on their end when we're going back to them saying, hey, this action needs to be elevated to a type 3, which is typically a little bit of a longer process than a type 2. Type 2 is 45 days from completeness to decision, where a type 3 is 120 days from completeness to decision, and that's to allow time for public meetings and public hearings as well. So it does happen, not too often, but that is done during our completeness review.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Not seeing any other questions. So I guess we can move on to committee comments. Should we just call names or anybody have anything they want to share?
Just start at the top.
All right. Shelley, and in my little grid, you are at the top. You volunteered yourself.
I have nothing except a happy new year, everyone.
Thank you. Chris.
Yeah, I think I'll also just say Happy New Year and yeah, share my hat.
I missed the hat. What'd the hat say? Bah humbug. Whatever. I don't believe it for a minute.
Love it. Adrian.
Yeah, I'll reiterate Happy New Year. I know I spent part of my day today when I probably should have been doing real work going through the Sandy River multi-use path application that Marley just sent out. I mean, that was certainly interesting. And I'm excited to see that whole project kick off. More trails, good as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, that's going to be, I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, that's it for me.
Great. Kevin.
I will echo the sentiment. Happy New Year. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Will.
Yeah, I wanted to apologize for missing the meeting last month. Sorry I missed you guys. I did have a chance to watch that last night, and based on that video, I really appreciate you guys entertaining Ray while he was there. I thought it was a great presentation from him. It was also really nice to see Paul's face on the camera. I hadn't seen that. Like, I haven't seen Paul in years, I think. That was good to see. And then, yeah, thanks again to Dakota and Chris Ann for giving us those documents. Really appreciate having those available for us. And also wanted to reiterate and apologize about last month too. We were given a challenge to call ahead the Tuesday before at 11 a.m. I just want to remind us of that and apologize for me not having done that in the past, but I think it makes complete sense. I want to extend an additional challenge that if we miss a meeting or we have stuff that we need to review, that we do our honest and best effort to review that prior to the meeting so that we can all have an intelligent discussion here that we set aside time aside for. Definitely feel like we could have gotten more accomplished tonight if we had a better base level understanding. I'm going to chalk it up to that we're not in person and that we're just not communicating well. We're not seeing the body language and the vibing and all that. So I'm going to chalk it up to that and look forward to next month where everybody is ready to go with an amazing discussion. So thank you all very much. Have a great month and we'll see you then.
Jenny.
Yeah, I'll just echo the Happy New Year. And yeah, I look forward to seeing kind of like our shared documents, if that's allowable, because I am a visual person. I like to see things down on paper and then we can put comments in them and work through it that way together instead of us all trying to do it on our own. So thank you. Have a good year.
Yeah. Diane.
I'd like to thank Dakota and you, Twyla, for conducting this meeting. And I appreciate everyone's comments, and also Happy New Year. And I look forward to reviewing everything for preparation for next meeting. Thank you.
Perfect. Woodrow.
Happy New Year from Sandy River. It's a little windy down here today. Kevin, my name is Woodrow.
Mr. Terrell.
That's my dad.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Woodrow, sorry.
No worries. Yeah, let me know if you guys have anything to share, and I can definitely start absorbing more and more stuff as we definitely jump into this with both feet. Dakota, I hope you start feeling better. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Thank you. And then Victoria, anything to add?
No, just Happy New Year, and Dakota and Shelley get well soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I hope you guys both feel better. Good meeting tonight, and I wish you guys all a happy new year. Does anybody want to move to adjourn?
I'll
I
move to
move.
adjourn.
Seconds?
I second.
Thank you. Anybody opposed?
All in
Yay.
favor?
All right.
I guess we're all in favor.
Okay.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Have a great evening, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Happy New Year,
everyone.
Counselor Glanz.
Everybody.